here's a quick and easy warm-up for your distance run. We're going to start with stretching, and you don't have to do any running before. If you do a little bit, that's great, but unnecessary because you don't need a huge amount of warm-up prior to your distance run, as long as you're not doing faster interval work. So this is more for a slower trail run or kind of an increased tempo type run out. We're going to start with a lunge stretch here. You're holding onto a pole for stability, so lamp post or street sign. So you get into a nice lunge, you lean away from this back leg and get this one far enough where if with just a little bit of lean forward you can feel the hamstring here. So I just kind of cycle between opening up the hip and then stretching the hamstring here. And I'm not flexing with my back, I actually just get in good posture and just tilt forward a little bit, and that stretches the hamstring. So you do hip flexor and hamstring on that side, then you just get into a deep side splits like this and just kind of bend the knee, or you can go all the way. Be careful not to slip, you can strain a muscle doing that. So again, about 20 seconds on each side here where you're just opening up, and then all the way the opposite direction, leaning away from this back one to get your hip flexor, and then good posture leaning forward to stretch the hamstring. So you're just cycling between those, so hip flexor, then hamstring, just getting an idea for how much flexibility you have in that. So next one is quadricep stretch, where you bring this towards your glute and you contract the glute. I'm going to exaggerate this, but it should kind of look like that, but I'm going to exaggerate to see, to show you, to make sure you're stretching the upper quad also. So do that on both sides, just like this. Contract the glute without arching your back. So we don't want this, you just want towards your glute and then contract a little bit. Next is lateral hip. So what I call kid on the hip, bending just like that. I like to bend slightly forward to get the glute medius and then push my hip forward to get TFL like that. Kind of move around to make sure you get the tightest spot. So for me, it's right there. So do that on both sides. Again, all your weight on this leg, pushing forward, then pushing back for glute medius, just like that on both sides. Then a deep squat, just like this. You don't need to spend much time in that because in distance running, there isn't a whole lot of deep positions, not like sprinting or long jumping, something like that. So just like that. Then we move on to the calves and shins. So I like to just find a curb and hang a heel off a curb like this and go to the outside, go to the inside. Make sure your calves are really stretched because this is one of the more vulnerable muscles in a distance runner. So do that on both sides, just like that. Going to the outside, going to the inside. And the order of these isn't important. So you can do this out of order if you'd like it better. Then you want to get the deep flexors in the foot. So again, to your curb or your rock, anything like that, you would push your toes back like that and then get into a lunge and push your knee forward. Again, go into the inside and the outside. And this shouldn't be painful. It should just feel like you're stretching everything deep. You may even feel it up in your shin there. But you do that on both sides, just like that. And so that finishes the static portion of your stretch. So each one of those, about 20 seconds. Then we would go to dynamic portion, where it's pretty much leg swings. So again, you're holding on to something stable, and you just do front to back swings, just like this. In my track training, I see a lot of kids basically doing this, and we don't want you to flex and extend your spine. We want your spine stable like this, and everything should be swinging around the leg. So you're not trying to warm up your back. In fact, if you're doing this while running, you're wasting energy. It's what we call an energy suck. So again, front to back, just like this. Do that on both sides. Then we would go to lateral. So holding on to a pole, and you're doing a lateral swing like this. Again, staying stable in your core, swinging the leg just like that. So that was dynamic. So first static, then dynamic. And lastly, we want you to do just a very little bit of sideways and backwards running. What we found is that people who are doing backwards and sideways running have reduced amount of injuries. The problem is if you're on a trail, there might not be a safe place to do that. So probably better to avoid that if you don't have a place free of cars, or if it's not flat and smooth, then I wouldn't do these. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to go into the hallway here and do backwards runs and karaoke. So really backwards runs is just this, trying to make sure you get your heels up high. You go 10 yards out and then 10 yards back. So just like this. Then the last one, what we want is a karaoke, which is just basically nice and easy laterally like this. I find a lot of people are way too aggressive when they're doing karaoke. They tend to kind of pull like that. Again, it's a warm-up. It should be nice and easy. Again, about 10 yards, 10 meters. And that's it. We don't want it to take too long, but it should be just a quick, easy warm-up that gets everything kind of loosened, and also tells you what area you need to pay attention to or cautious about during the run.